Hey Wallington, my name is Ron L. James, and I am excited to be in your presence today. Before we get started with this presentation, I'd like to thank each and every person that has given us this opportunity, this platform to speak into your lives. I'd like to thank your principals. I'd like to thank your guidance counselors. I'd like to thank all of the administration for sacrificing a portion of this day for us to speak into your lives. We have an exciting presentation today that's coming your way, and it's about choices, it's about suicide, it's about some of the tough topics that go on in our culture and our schools, bullying, and all of those things. But most important, I am grateful and thankful for each and every one of you being here today, giving me this opportunity and my team to speak into your lives and make a difference. All we're looking for today is to help you guys make your next choice your best choice. So sit back, pay attention, remain focused, and enjoy the presentation. This assembly is for you.
What's up, Wallington Junior High? My name is TJ Griffin. I am so grateful to be here. I'm here with Choices, and you guys may not be familiar with Choices yet, but soon you're going to know the amazing work they do, and their founder, Ron James, who I have the pleasure of working with and the opportunity to travel the country speaking and training, and it's a really cool organization. You guys are really going to like it. Before I get started, I know how tired you all are of Zooms and videos and just anything that has to do with having to look at the screen. Like, I get it, through COVID, y'all have what we call Zoom fatigue. And some of the things I'm going to talk about quickly, I know some of you guys have been beat up over the head with it all for years now. I'm going to touch on social media and bullying, but I'm going to do a little different approach than what you're used to. So hopefully it won't bore you to death and you'll get something from it. But first, a little bit about myself. Besides working with Choices, I am a speaker, a trainer, and I also travel the country with different organizations. I'm an actor. I played the lead role in the film called Choices. I played Ron James in a movie based on his life, he spent 20 years in incarceration and 20 years battling drug addiction to finally beat that, come clean, change his life, become a published author of many books, travels the country now teaching and mentoring kids and young adults how to make the right choices. That's why I'm here today. He gave me the opportunity to come speak to you all, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm also a former music industry, hip-hop music, recording artist, manager, and booking agent. So I work with a lot of rappers, but like 90s era rappers. A lot of them guys like are old heads to you guys, but I work with a lot of 90s era rappers. I worked in the music industry, and now I transitioned to do different things. I'm an entrepreneur, and but I didn't always start out this way. I actually come from a rough background. I come from a background of poverty, a lot of trauma, a lot of issues that are going on in my life, but I found a way to transition out of that. And a lot of the things I found was that a lot of our gifts, our blessings, our opportunities are sometimes disguised as adversity or as a challenge or as something not so attractive. So I want to touch base on that. I'm going to come back to that in a few minutes. But first, let's talk about social media. Right now, 9 out of 10 of you, if not all of you guys, have a cell phone and you have some kind of social media access. Whether that's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you guys are tuned into social media. And even old heads like me and old guys, we still have to use social media if we want to participate in the marketplace. So it's something that just everybody has to participate in at some aspect if you want to move in the market. But here's some things I need you to recognize about social media. For one, you're addicted to it. Yes, you are. So am I. Maybe not so much as a lot of the youth I see, but if you're always on that phone looking at social media and looking for different sites and likes and posts, and you're on it several times a day, there's an addiction level there. And that could be a problem because we're using so much of that time on social media that we could probably be using something that's more conducive to our growth, our education, and our growth as young men and women. But also, something's happening to a lot of youth around the nation, and social media is playing a part in it. I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's been a lot of kids that hurt themselves. And over the last few years, the suicide rate has went way up with youth across our country and across the nation. And a lot of that comes back to social media and what it's doing to our brains and our mentals and what we see about ourselves. So one of the things that happened that is an issue with social media is the likes. We look for them likes on the post or the picture we post for validation. It makes us feel good. And what happens is there's a chemical in our brain called dopamine. Yes, you can look this up, dopamine, that gets released and makes us feel good. Sometimes it happens with drugs and alcohol, which is deadly and addictive. But sometimes it can happen with just being happy or having a nice walk or just being joyful. Well, dopamine is released in social media when we see likes and we see people paying attention to our posts and our pictures, and it feels good and we crave them likes. So let me ask you this. If you're a kid that gets a lot of likes, has a lot of followers, is pretty popular, it's normal to you. And it feels good. But there's also kids watching this right now that may not be so popular, may not get so many likes. And when they put a post up or they put a picture up and there's 1 like or 2 likes, it kind of hurts. It kind of feels bad. It makes you feel not adequate or not good enough. And the fact of the matter is, for the kid that's getting 50 likes and the kid that's getting none, I'm here to tell you right now, it's all make-believe. It's not real life. And you may feel great about the likes you're getting and the posts you're getting right now, but it means nothing for your future. Nothing for your credibility, nothing for your growth in this world. 0. So the kid that's not getting likes, it doesn't feel so special, doesn't feel as good about him or herself because they're not getting it, I'm telling you, it's okay. These likes and this feeling it gives us is not real life. Social media is fake. Now, of course, there's some truth in it, and we use it as for truth, but a lot of it's not real. All the filters for the pretty girls that's looking so pretty and their filters and their poses and their fish lips they be doing, that's not even real life. The smiles we see and the trips we see and all the cool things other kids are showing, it's not real life behind closed doors. A lot of you guys are what we call fronting, not being real with your life. So kids see this and they want to be, if he's so happy and she's so happy and she has so many likes and so many posts, then they must be really happy. You're living this life, but I don't have these likes or I don't have these threads or these followers, so I'm not good enough. It's not true. It's not true. So I need you guys to really pay attention to what you're doing with these sites. And this also goes into my next conversation about bullying. See, when I was a kid, when we got bullied, it happened in the school. When the school bell rang at 3 o'clock and I got home, it was over. All of us didn't even have, kids didn't even have cell phones when I was a kid. So it was over at least for that night until I had to go back to school the next day. That's no longer the case because you all have them phones and social media. So now that boy or girl that's getting bullied in school or left out or not made to feel good about him or herself, now has to go home and look at social media and watch that bullying continue. They never get a break. So one of the things that we're losing so many kids to suicide is basically because they don't feel good enough because they're not getting the attention on social media or the happy life they see. But the other issue is the bullying. They never get a break. They never get a break. The kids just stop because it follows them. Now, when it comes to bullying, guys, the most important person is not the teacher, not the counselor, not your parents at home. The most important person when it comes to bullying is the witness, the boy or girl that watches it happen and does nothing. At your age, it's very, very, very hard to be the only kid in the circle when everyone's laughing at a certain kid, to be the only kid in the circle to say, hey, that's not funny, stop it. That takes a lot of courage and a lot of leadership. And at your age, that's hard to find. But I also heard at Wallington, it's not hard to find. There's a lot of leaders in this school. So we're waiting to see them step up more because it's important. You know, a lot of times we're making fun of a kid that may not look as nice as us, may not have the nicest clothes, may come from a poorer family, hair may not be as nice, may not just present well. We make fun of this kid because he or she doesn't have as much as we do. Or the kid's sitting by themselves. Maybe what y'all would call nerdy or goofy or whatever. And we think that's funny to make fun of that person, not knowing the hardships that he or she goes on at home. It might be funny for you, but it's not funny for them when they go home to all this trauma and all this abuse. So like I said, it's not funny for that kid that has to go home and never gets a relief. Doesn't get a relief at school, doesn't get a relief on the way home, then gets bullied at home through social media, and then has a lot of problems at home. But you have the power. The power is to step up out of your comfort zone and see him or her and go sit with him or her at the lunch table. While everybody else is laughing, you step up and do it. And you step up and you be a friend to somebody. See, a lot of times, like I was trying to say earlier, that kid that may not look as clean or as fresh or have the nicest clothes, you don't know how special he or she is. See, we think sometimes the popular kid or the most best athlete kid or the best looking kid is going to be the greatest. And a lot of times it's the kid that's actually alone and going through hardships. See, a lot of times when you go through trials and tribulations, it makes you stronger as a person and builds character. So a lot of them kids you may be making fun of may be one day great people, inspiring people, influential people, but you'll be the kid that made fun of him or her because she didn't look as nice, wasn't as cool. Now at Wallington's junior high and high school, I know there's leaders here, and we believe in you, and that's why Choices has came to talk to you today. So behind adversity are gifts. Behind what you may consider ugly, there's gifts. Behind a lot of this trauma and the things that you're going through, there's gifts. So I need you guys to pay attention and be of your surroundings. When you see somebody left alone, be a friend. When you're on social media, you see somebody being bullied, step in and reach out. If you can't confront the bully, you can always be a friend to the person being bullied. I know it's in you. All of us have these gifts to bear fruit. What fruit are you going to bear in life is the question. So let me tell a quick story as I end here so you can put this all together. So many, many years ago, 2,000 years ago in ancient China, there's this little family that comes from a poor section of the village. And in this poor section of the village, this kid doesn't look as nice when he goes to school. Doesn't have the nicest clothes or the nicest sandals and gets made fun of. They don't have a lot. It's weighing heavy on the young man, so he comes to his daddy one day and says, "Daddy, what is my life worth?" And his dad says, "What do you mean, son? What is my life worth? We don't have anything." His dad says, "Stay right here, son, I'll be right back." His dad runs upstairs, guys, comes back down with a stone wrapped in a cloth. He unwraps the cloth and says, "Son, take this stone tomorrow to the marketplace in town where everybody sells their vegetables and sells their goods. I want you to put a carpet, a little rug down, and put the stone down and put for sale on it. If anybody, son, comes to ask you how much that stone costs, you're to say nothing, but put up 2 fingers." He says, "Daddy, you want me to sit in the marketplace all day with the stone?" "Yes, son." Next day, he wakes up, he goes into town 5 in the morning, sets up at 6 o'clock, puts the stone on the carpet with a for sale sign. People walk by him all day and they ignore him. They look at the stone, they walk by all day and they ignore. Hours and hours goes by. Finally, a little old woman sees it, walks by, and she stops. She says, "Boy, how much for the stone?" Boy says nothing, like his father said, and hands up 2 fingers. "Boy, I will gladly give you $2 for the stone." Now, Dad said, "Don't sell it. Raise up 2 fingers and then come back to me if you get an offer." He raised up 2 fingers. She said, "I will gladly give you $2 for the stone." He wraps it up and says, "I can't sell it right now." And he runs home, through the market, all the way back home. He kicks open the door. "Dad, I got an offer for the stone." "How much, son?" She said, $2. "Really?" He said, "Tomorrow, son, you're to take the same stone, wrap it up, and you're to go to the museum outside the market in the city. And you're going to go to the museum, you're going to knock. And when the museum manager comes out, you show him the stone. But if he says anything, all you do is raise up 2 fingers." "Okay, Daddy, I will go." Next day, he packs up the stone. He walks all through town, all through the marketplace, and goes to the museum. When he goes to the museum's actually closing, but he gets there just in time. When he knocks on the door, he opens it up and says, "We're closed, son." And he hands him the stone. The museum guy grabs his hand. "How much for the stone, boy?" And the boy says, nothing, but raises up 2 fingers. "I will gladly give you $2,000 for that stone, boy." He wraps it back up. He closes. "Sorry, I can't sell it." And he runs back home. This time he's super excited. $2, now $2,000 to a poor family. He kicks open the door. Dad says, "How much did they offer for the stone?" He says, Dad, $2,000 for the stone. "Can we go sell it now?" "No, son." "What do you?" "No." See, $2,000 back then is like $2 million today. So he takes the stone and he says, "Son, tomorrow you're to go through the marketplace, over the hill to the city, past the museum, to the precious stone store. Today that'd be called the jewelry store. You go to the jewelry store, look for the manager, say nothing, show him the stone, and if he or she asks you how much it costs, you have to put up 2 fingers. Now he's happy and urgent. He's like, okay, I will go. He can't sleep all night. He's so excited because he doesn't know what's going to happen. The stone keeps going up in value. So he runs through town, runs to the museum, through the marketplace, and gets to the precious stone store and knocks on the door. But it's a lady this time. She owns it. She opens it up and says, what are you doing here, poor boy? She's in his pocket. He opens up the stone and he goes like this. She grabs it. She calls for her workers to come. Her workers come around her. They're all looking at the stone. She opens up her pocket and puts one of these little eye things on so you can see close, like a mini microscope, and she looks at the stone. And she shows her colleagues. How much for this stone, boy? He says. She said, I will gladly give you $200,000 for this stone. It's like $200 million today. Grabs the stone and runs home. When he runs home, he opens the door and says, Dad, we are wealthy. He said, what did she offer you? $200,000. My God, what are we going to sell this this stone? He's like, no, son. I've been saving that stone for you for the day you grow and you become married and have your own family. But that's not the message I wanted you to learn. What, Dad? That we can be wealthy and you don't want us to be? That you're saving us for now and we could do better now? He said, no, it's for your future. The message I want you to learn is that our value is never on how we look by our appearance. See, the lady at the market walked by it and thought it was worth $2. She's seen no value in it because depending on where you place yourself in life, who you surround yourself with, depends on how people dictate your value and what value you believe in yourself. So as you move the stone to different surroundings of people, you had a different value. But you always look the same. You're always the same poor boy from the inner village. But when you move out of these environments, you get around different people come listen to growth, and they see more value in you, you change. Moral of the story is, who are you surrounding yourself with? Because you'll become who you surround yourself with. Second moral of the story is that kid that you make fun of that may not look so good on the outside is precious on the inside and you're missing it. You're missing it. Love one another, guys. When you're on social media, you see somebody being made fun of, be the leader. Build character and step up for him or her. In the lunchroom, in the hallway, wherever you go. Because kids at Wallington Junior High, I know what you guys are capable of. Choices would not be here if they did not know it. So I challenge you guys to know this, to recognize the good and beauty in everything, and not be the little old lady in the marketplace that can't see the value because of something how it looks. With that being said, I got a lot of admiration and respect for you guys. I hope one day Choices can bring us there in person. You guys get to meet the legendary Ron James in person, the guy who put this all together for you guys with the Choices Company. With that being said, peace and blessings, and I hope to see you guys in person someday soon.
Hi, my name is Star. They usually call me the rock star designer because I work with a lot of celebrities. Now, I have one of those jobs that people think is a dream job. I work with a lot of famous people that you'll see every day on TV, or you listen to their music, you watch their concerts, see them in the movies. And through the years, I've dealt with a lot of very, very high-profile people. And to the public, I think people have a perception that these people live this dream life, that they ride around in limousines and they have so much money that they don't have a care in the world. Well, I have worked with a lot of those people, and that's just the kind of the public perception. Those famous people have the same stress, a lot of the same worries and concerns and insecurities that you and I have. And they have millions of dollars on the line, so a lot of times the stakes are really, really high. I've had clients and friends that are celebrities that have addiction issues. I've lost some to suicide, overdose. There's a lot of tragedy that happens behind the scenes of what we perceive as from the public side. So I think through the years, observing this and and listening and learning and spending time with these people that so many people idolize, you realize that some of the problems that we have when we're young, they seem so important and they seem so overwhelming. And how we deal with them when we're young will start to determine how we're going to deal with our problems as we get older. So the problems that you, or the stress or the worries that you might have, it sounds really cliche to say that everybody has them, but a lot of us, we still deal with those same insecurities, those same problems, and those same questions about our future. When you're young, some of that is the first time you're ever experiencing those problems. So this might be the first time you've ever experienced loss or grief or questions about your own future, whether you're good enough or whether people expect too much from you or whether you can live up to those expectations. Many of these things, the first time we experience them, those are just overwhelming, and they're just crushing on our spirit. So it's a good thing when you first are dealing with some of these emotions to try to find other people to confide in, that you can ask questions that may have already experienced those emotions many, many times, or guidance counselors, parents, other adults that you trust and admire or that you can confide in. So finding somebody that you can talk to is a really good way to start dealing with some of the questions you might have. There's something reassuring to know that other people are feeling what you're feeling, or they felt what you're feeling, and they've made it through to the other side. So try to find someone, whether it's a friend or someone that you can trust, but find someone to talk to. That's one of the first places to start. Whatever the feelings that you're feeling, those are totally real to you. And since other people have felt them, they can understand how real and how overwhelming those feelings are. So, like I said, it's assuring to know that even people we admire or people that seem completely confident with not a care in the world, those people are just still dealing with some of the same things you're dealing with. They can hide them because they have to hide them for their business. But everybody at one point or another is dealing with overwhelming emotion. I like to think of our lives, or my life and your life, as a story. And some of the story, it has a beginning, and how it ends is yet to be determined. So I call it the legend that is you. So your story, if you look at your life like that, let's just say they're going to make a movie about your life, or they're going to write a book about your life. Each one of the days in your life might just be a paragraph. It could even be just a sentence in the overall book of your life. Even though it seems like the complete most important thing that's happening in your life right now, if you can deal with your emotions and you can get through to the other side, you'll realize that that is just one chapter in the book that is you. And thinking about the fact that when you think about it, almost everybody's life is worth making a movie over or making a TV show over. Every person's life is unique. And you don't know what you'll accomplish in your life when you grow up or as you get older. You can do amazing things when you're young. And the story that's unfolding will have conflict, it will have happiness, it will have sadness, it will have triumph, and it will have tragedy. And that is the legend that is you. It's yet to be determined where your life is going. So think of it sometimes and reflect on it and think someday when I look back on these times, those times of sadness will just be part of the story, because there's plenty of happy times and plenty of triumph that will come in your future. With that storytelling, there's really no good story that doesn't have conflict and have tragedy. When you watch a movie, if things are happy and perfect all the time, there's really not a negative to kind of judge those good times with. It's having these trials and these difficult times that make us appreciate when things are good. So, and they also teach us how to deal with these difficult times and figure out how to navigate our way through to another positive time. Each day that you're dealing with a difficult time, you're challenged, and you can challenge yourself to try to find solutions to change the course and the direction of your life. Because how you deal with sadness and difficulty when you're young will mold how you deal with sadness and difficulty as you get older. So if you have a hard time just dealing with the smallest of challenges now, when the challenges get even bigger, it's going to be tough. It's going to really be tough. So you'll never really get out from underneath those negative, overwhelming feelings. So if you start to surround yourself with friends that lift you up, that you can confide in and you can ask questions of, and that can understand what you're going through and give you good advice, and mentors that can help you, those things will be important later on in life. You might not have the same mentors, you might not have the same friends, but you and the way that you deal with difficulty, those practices and those disciplines and those lessons that you learn, you will take those with yourself through your whole life. And as you get older and more mature and you deal with other problems, you will find solutions quicker based on how you learn to deal with these difficulties when you're young. So, like I said, so think of your story and look at it that your story is unfolding day to day, and every day and every chapter, it's going to change. And it's going to be difficult at times, but it's going to be amazing. When people look at my life, they think, oh, everything's so easy and it's so glamorous. But I'm still dealing with many of the exact same things I dealt with when I was young. Insecurities, whether it's stage fright or talking in front of groups of people, or people that are more powerful than me bullying me, making fun of me. All the different things are, as you get older, you still deal with a lot of those same things. I work in television, I work in movies, I do concert design, and even now I do fashion design. I started my own clothing line. So when I travel around the world, there are all kinds of difficult things that I have to deal with and problems that I have to solve through all the different parts of my business. And a lot of the lessons that I learned when I was younger from mentors and people that gave me good advice, they stuck with me for my whole life. And now, when I look at a problem or a door that's in my path that I have to break through, or a challenge, I have a certain confidence because of doing it and dealing with it so many times, that I look at difficulty sometimes as a challenge that I have to overcome. So a lot of it's your attitude and how you perceive what these difficulties are. Another thing I like to think about is, because I work in show business and because I work with so many people that are performers and artists, some of the greatest music and some of the greatest art has come out of tragedy or sadness. So if you're a person that's a creative person, perhaps you could take some of your insecurities or your doubt and turn that into something artistic. Use it as a way to express yourself. Write a song, write a poem. Take a canvas and throw paint against the canvas. Change your environment and change it into something that expresses your feelings. These things, you don't know, they can touch other people's lives. And when you listen to a song that is about sadness or about loss or tragedy, that's how we can really get hooked into that song, that we hear those words and they're speaking to us personally. And as a creative person, when I have to deal with a challenge, oftentimes I use that challenge or that difficulty as a motivation for me to work even harder or to find another solution and come up with something more dynamic than I might have come up with before the challenge. So don't be afraid to just express yourself in some creative way. Run outside and scream. I don't know, whatever it is that is a release artistically. Because like I said, when you look through history and read poetry and you watch movies about people that have overcome so many odds and so many challenges, once you've survived that, you can see when you're watching the movie or listening to the song, you can see when they come out on the other side that there's that triumph. And that is that legend that is you. Because that is that life with all the positives and the negatives and the roller coaster of emotion, the peaks and the valleys. And it's yet to unfold for your life, where it goes. But tomorrow you'll wake up and you'll be faced with those challenges. You'll be faced with those tragedies, and you'll be faced with loss and grief. And how you deal with it, it starts with you. But don't be afraid to ask for help, because there are people to listen. I know I've been, just by circumstances, I've been the voice on the other end of the phone for friends that needed help. And just by dumb luck, I was the person that they asked for help, because I try to be positive in my philosophy and how I interact with people. And so you just have to find those people in your life that are that positive force, that positive voice in your life that you can talk to. And I'm sure if you ask your teachers or your parents, there are plenty of people that are there that care about you and love you, and they want to help you through whatever difficult time you're going through. But you're not alone. So thanks for listening, and I hope we get to meet someday face to face. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, Wallington. Again, my name is Ron L. James, and I thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak into your lives. And I would like to share with you right now on how I made a difference in my own life to make some better choices. So I'm speaking to you in hopes that something will make a difference in your life so that you guys won't end up over there. Over there, Mr. James? That's right, over there. What's over there? Well, over there could be a number of different things. If you make a poor choice, there's a consequence that's associated with that choice. Over there could be detention, expulsion, suspension. Over there could be finding yourselves in a situation that you don't even want to be in. Over there could be detention in a prison. It could be juvenile detentions. It could be jail. It could be getting hurt or hurting someone else. Over there is where we don't want to end up. And it is my hope to speak into your lives today so that you don't go down the same paths that I went down, receive the same things that I received or worse. And I'll share that with you. See, growing up, I come from a good family, and I'm sure most of you do as well. And growing up, I found myself making choices that started to get worse and then worse. And I started making poor choices about the people that I hung around, which then led me to making even more poor choices. But it was in school at an early age that I got teased about how I read. And I found myself stuttering in school one day, and I got to some of the bigger words with the pronunciation, and I found myself getting frustrated, and all of a sudden the kids in the classroom started to laugh at me. And I didn't like what I heard. And I didn't want to be made fun of because, see, at a young age, I found myself in a school system that I was the only black male. The only other black person in my school was my younger sister. And I didn't like the feeling of being sticking out or being oddball or any of that. So all I ever wanted to do was fit in. So here I was in class reading, and all of a sudden the classmates are laughing at me. And I got frustrated, and I took that book, I slammed it shut, and I slammed it on the desk, and I said to myself, as I made a choice, I said I hated reading. Now, the fact of the matter is I didn't hate reading. But what I did was wanted to teach the kids a lesson and not laugh at me. So I said I'll never read again. And as a result, I didn't pick up a book well into my adult years. And I even went to college. Wait a minute, Mr. James. You went through school not knowing how to read? That's right. Well, how did you do that? I made more poor choices and I cheated. Now, we all know that cheating is wrong. And I did this. And as a result of cheating, I found myself really cheating myself out of the education that I needed to progress in life. Education is important. And that's why we're here today. I know you guys are in school. I know that we're going through a number of different changes with the virtual presentations and doing things where you have to, be on a laptop all day and you don't get the interaction a lot of times. And hopefully those things will go back to normal. But in the meantime, we find ourselves in situations where it's not comfortable. And all I'm asking you guys to do is to get dug in and make a choice, a new choice in your mind is, I'm going to do it. See, a lot of the other countries have been doing virtual class presentations and, learning through this type of system. And their students are embracing it. While a lot of the students and things that were going on today, we're like rejecting it. The camera, where the camera is not, you can't even see you in the screen, or, we're like this, like we're nonchalant, or like we don't care. What I'm asking you to do is turn that around and go for it. And I'm saying put forth your best effort and want to learn and want to take advantage of whatever platforms you find yourself on. Anyway, here it was. I did go to college, and my teacher found out that I shouldn't have even been there because my reading level wasn't up to par. She said to me, she called me out one day, she said, you don't even know how to put together a paragraph. You don't know how to construct a sentence, and you can't spell. Well, I got really angry and defensive, and I said, I can spell. And she says, Mr. James, do me a favor, spell the word friend. And I can spell that. And I went to spell it, and I said, F-R-E-I-N-D. Well, you guys know that's wrong. But I found myself looking at my teacher, and she went from this state of being angry to where she was sad, and a tear rolled down her cheek and hit her blouse, and she looked back up and she said, Mr. James, you have a hard road ahead of you. And I didn't really understand everything at that point. But what she was saying was, Mr. James, if you don't get your act together, you're going to be in for a world of trouble. And that's exactly what happened. See, I ended up, and it's another story, and maybe we'll get into it another time, but I ended up falling short and dropping out of college. And then I went and I started to live on the streets, and I ended up being homeless, and I started to use drugs and found myself doing things that I didn't even want to do. I started lying and manipulating and trying to survive in an environment that was very awkward and unfamiliar to me. And then I even graduated from all of those things. I mean, to the point where I served 25 plus years of my life incarcerated in prison. You guys heard me right. Remember we talked about over there? Being over there in a situation where you didn't want to end up? I come from a good family. Remember, I shared that with you. But my choices were leading me in a direction towards a negative destiny. So the things that I were saying to myself were the things that were coming true. And they were like, oh, I'm never going to make it. Oh, I'm a failure. Oh, I'm stupid. I'm dumb. And I would feed myself all of these thoughts. And I believed them because I'm the one that said them to myself. I know other people might have planted those seeds, but I watered it. And it wasn't until I started to change and speak differently into my life that my life didn't change. And all I want to give you today, and I don't have much time, but all I want to give you today is just one nugget. You guys are amazing. Yeah. And I want you to walk to a mirror, to look into that mirror, eyeball to eyeball to yourself and say, I am amazing. And if you don't believe it, you need to stand there and say it until you do. Because you are. You are what you say you are. Whether that's good and positive, or whether that's negative and bad. And we have a tendency to believe ourselves of what we say. So why not make it a practice to speak positive and speak life into yourself? That's all I want to give you today is speak life into yourself. I want you to make your next choice your best choice. Hey, my name is Ron L. James, and I appreciate this opportunity that you've given me, this small platform to speak into your life. Remember, go to the mirror more than once, as many times as you want, as many times as you can, and say to yourself, I am amazing. Hey, you guys are. Have a great day.